Okay, so for problem number 42, let me zoom this in a little bit. For problem number 42, it said when you increase the speed of a bullet by 10%, the resultant of the range will increase by what percent? Assume that the air resistance is ignored. So the way that you solve this problem is for problem number 42. Let me get a different colored marker here. Remember that the range is equal to the velocity, the initial velocity squared times sine of 2 theta all over g. Okay? Now what they're saying is alright, what would the range be if we increased it by 10%? So what that would mean is I would say 1.1 times v naught squared sine of theta 2 theta all over g. Now where that comes from is that if I take my velocity, and we could just arbitrarily choose a number. So let's say that my initial velocity is 5 meters per second. Well, if I wanted to increase that by 10%, I would have to say 5 times 0.10, that's my percentage, which is 0.5, and then I would have to say 5 plus my percentage, which is 0.5, which is the same as 5 times 1.1. Now where this comes from actually is my range with an increase of 10% is from the original velocity plus 0.1 times the original velocity, all of that thing squared, sine of 2 theta all over g. And so let me move my calculator out of the way a little bit here. This is 1. If I factor out the v naughts, right? If I take the velocity, if I take this and this and I factor out, what am I left with? Well, I'm left with this 1.1 v naught squared sine of 2 theta all over g. And that would be my new range with the 10% increase. So now what is 1.1 squared? Well, 1.1 squared is actually 1.21. So what we're going to do is when we square this number, we're increasing this overall value by 1.21. Well, what was it originally? Well, it was originally just 1 squared, or whatever value we plug in, right? So we have an increase of nearly 20%. So let's go back and look at our, see if that's one of the choices. 21%, right? The 0.21, yep, that's what it is. And this is where it comes from. Because really what we have is 1.21 times v naught squared times the sine of 2 theta all over g. Well, that's an increase of 21%. That's where that comes from.